Welcome to the Hooked on Sport Cricket Show. This is South Australia's summer cricket wrap, where we uncover the stories, personalities and moments that define cricket across South Australia and beyond. It's time to talk cricket with Sophie Hilditch and Ben Hook.
Welcome everyone, welcome to Hooked on Sport. We're here talking about cricket. Feels like we haven't been here in a while talking about cricket. It's just been golf. Adelaide booming with golf. We've lived Adelaide. But Hookie, who better else to talk to than you about the cricket that has just unfolded?
We've timed our run perfectly, Soph, because South Australian women have had a massive win today and the Australian women have had an enormous win tonight as well. South Australians women, WNCL, will get to them, but they're now in third position, only percentage from second spot. 2 more games to go. Win them both, they'll almost certainly make the final. And Australia has levelled up the series against India. So the multi-format, they went down in the T20s 2-1. They've just won the first one-dayer tonight, won it comfortably by 6 wickets. Runs to Alyssa Healy and Beth Mooney. So a couple of the old stages for Australia getting it done. Chased them down with almost 12 overs to spare. Impressive performance. Yeah, so good time to be talking cricket. We're winning, Soph.
Yeah, that's always exciting. That's the best time to start talking about something when we're winning. Maybe that's why we stayed quiet. We just thought we'll just watch this one play out. Australia's currently not winning the series. We'll just wait and see.
Does everyone notice that we failed to do a cricket show when we absolutely got blown away by Zimbabwe of all teams, all nations in the T20 World Cup?
Yeah, we haven't even mentioned that. I don't think we need to mention that. I think there's been enough commentary on that. Just skip over that pretty easily and pretty comfortably. Particularly, I think the last cricket show we did, you may have made, we probably should run back the tapes, but I think you said we had the easiest pull and would waltz on into the next stage, and we got absolutely demolished.
This is why we haven't redressed that ever since, and I was hoping that you would clean forgot, but your capacity to keep receipts is like no one I know. I was pretty confident that we'd at least get out of the group stage, but no such luck. And now there's a possibility that we may not even make the Olympics. There's only 6 nations going to the Olympics, and it is based in part on your performance at the T20 World Cup. And so, yeah, we're outside the top 8 at the moment. That would be interesting if they left us out of the Olympic Games in 2028.
Well, here's the thing, Hookie. You say that we'll be left out, we'll be in, just no worries. Whatever you say, I think the world tends to go the other way. So I think it's fine. I think you should keep saying that we won't make the Olympics and we'll be top 6 in no time.
Yeah, suddenly hot favourites for the gold.
Well, look, Hookie, let's just go straight to local cricket. How about you give us a bit of a wrap on the Premier cricket for the men?
I'll start with the one-day title that was on Sunday. So West Torrens have defeated Kensington. They won by 9 wickets as well. So it was an absolutely monstrous victory for the Eagles. Kensington were right on line for the 3-title sweep. They'd beaten West Torrens in the T20 decider. But so this is big revenge for West Torrens. Both teams were pretty depleted from that previous final. That T20 final was an absolute all-star cast. And sort of the lesser lights getting it done here. I thought what was fascinating for me, Soph, watching this game, keeping an eye on it on Sunday while I was, spending a bit of time at the golf as well, but I watched a fair bit of the highlights back. Kensington batting first were 1 for 40. Sam Keogh got Harry Matthias, and then in the very next over, Harry Nilsson took a catch off Henry Hunt. It was an inside edge. He dived low to his left. James Ruther, I reckon, was the bowler. But they've gone from 1 for 40 to 3 for 40. And it was all on the strength of this catch that Harry Nilsson took. Harry's going to be an interesting chat, I think, over the next 2-3 months. He sort of lost his spot in the strikers, and I wonder where he's placed going forward with the South Australia men's cricket team as well, in particular if Alex Carey isn't going to play a lot of white ball cricket, because it just sort of gives Harry less and less opportunities. But he's still so talented, and he was really important there. So congratulations to West Torrens. They are the one-day titleists. I'll just go to Division 1 very quickly. Adelaide has jumped to the top of Division 1. Now, that was not on my bingo card at all. So if we were talking about Kensington being the runaway leader of this competition. Well, Adelaide have jumped to the top. They won outright over Woodville. They scored 371 in the first innings. They had Woodville 5 for 15 in their first innings. That became 5 for 104, and maybe a little bit surprisingly because they put on the best part of 100 runs. Chad Sayers decided to declare, which inspired Adelaide to declare it none for none, leaving Woodville about 260 to chase down with 10 wickets in hand. Well, they got bowled out for 111. So Adelaide on top. Sturter in second after a win over East Torrens by 4 wickets. The big story is Kensington. So not only did they lose that one-day final, they're down to third in the Division 1 competition after a loss to West Torrens. It's their third straight loss. Highly likely they'll still make top 4, but they've just derailed a little bit, Kensington. They'll be on watch. Port Adelaide are in 4th. They had a loss to Tea Tree Gully, who are now 5th and threatening. Woodville will be relegated. We know that much. They're a long way back from second last place. Woodville has West Torrens, East Torrens, and Tea Tree Gully. This is the great thing about the smaller first division competition. I know it's not universally popular, but there is one thing that's really good about it. There's 2 games to go, and how about this? West Torrens, East Torrens, and Tea Tree Gully can all make the 4, but they can all also be relegated. So it's just wonderful that you've got so much to play for this late in the season. Traditionally, in my day, Soph, you'd have a game that was sort of 8th versus 11th. Neither team could make the finals, and you were just going through the motions.
Yeah.
It was just a top 4 for 13 teams, and that was it. So the one beauty about this competition is how important these games become for these clubs. 1 or 2 might make finals. One of them is going to be relegated, and that would be very, very brutal. So in round 9, Sturt will take on Port, Tea Tree Gully will take on East Torrens, Woodville takes on West Torrens, and the big game, Kensington versus Adelaide, 3rd versus 1st. And if Adelaide can find their way past Kensington again, they're a big chance of finishing top, and I didn't see that at the start of the year.
Yeah, shaping up to be an interesting tournament. We'll head us straight over to the women's comp. I believe there's only 3 teams left.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Kensington, Sturt and Glenelg. Kensington were 4 for 36 in their game against West Torrens. They went on to make 221. Shay Daly made 80. Her previous high score for the year was 26, Soph. And that 221 was always going to be too many for West Torrens. They are the weakest club in the competition at the moment. Grace Jones for Kensington took 4 wickets as they went on to a pretty comfortable victory. And Sturt absolutely killed Adelaide. This was 193 versus 96. I've got to say, Adelaide, the women, they've been surprisingly poor in the second half of the year. I thought they were really in and around this competition, but they've dropped right off in the last 6-7 weeks. So it's going to be likely Glenelg finishing top. Kensington's still a big chance to take that spot. And then Sturt have really elevated their game. So it's only 3 teams left. Just very quickly, Division 2 of the men. Glenelg is continuing on its merry way in Division 2. They played the number 2 ranked team, Southern District, and won outright by they only lost 5 wickets and took 20. It was an absolute dominant over the second ranked team. Northern District lost and went up as a result of that. And your brother's team, University, had a big win over Prospect, so they stay in the hunt for the preliminary final as well. And I reckon that is about everything I've got for you on local cricket. But yeah, 2 rounds left and then we get into the final. So it's right at the pointy end.
Absolutely love it. Well, I hope it's not all you've got for me, because I am looking forward to the local story of the week from the one and only Ben Hook.
Yeah, this is unfortunately going to end up with a little bit of shade thrown on a mate of mine, but I want to commend Zach Grice, who playing down in the Kensington 4th grade team, Soph, 4th grade. He opened the batting with a mate of mine, Alex Chapman. Zach went on to make 259 not out. Not bad in 4th grade. Going to be difficult. Going to be difficult to run those down, let alone all of the runs that all his mates made. All of his mates. One of them is Alex Chapman, who I said he got out. He was the other opening batter, out for a first ball golden duck, and then of course had to deal with the fact that the scorecard kept getting put up on social media every hour as Zach Grice went from 100 to 150 to 200 to 259. So poor old Alex, his golden duck up in lights alongside Zach Grice's 259 not out. Tough day for poor old Alex, but congratulations to Zach Grice. Makes his own bats, Zach Grice. Label is bespoke. it might be able to sell a few more now that he's plundered 259 with him himself.
Well, yeah, if he was playing with it and made the 259, I think he definitely might be able to sell a few. Unfortunately, Alex might want one after his golden duck just got publicised everywhere.
Yes, even here.
Well, look, let's head over to the South Australian women. You mentioned it at the top of the show, but give us a little bit of a wrap. They seem to be going pretty well at the moment.
Yeah, so they would be second right now if it wasn't for the fact that they copped a washout on Sunday against the ACT, a game that they looked for everything that they were going to go ahead and win. They did the right thing and got the job done today. Gemma Barsby sort of rescued the innings, came in when they were 5 for about 135 and made 80 in her own right, put on about 115 with Bridget Patterson. That 280 was way too many for AC2, who finished about 35 short. I don't think we're playing super well, but got the points today. It puts us in third position, but only just a little bit of net run rate short of Queensland, who are in second. We've got 2 games to come. They're both at home. They're not for a couple of weeks, the 12th and the 14th of March. They're at Adelaide Oval against New South Wales. New South Wales are top. If you win both of them, you probably go through. The problem is Queensland play Victoria in their final 2 games. Victoria are winless in this competition, Soph. So I guess there's an argument to be said that South Australia could win both their games. Queensland could find a way through with a bonus point or 2 against Victoria and still keep us out of that final anyway. But yeah, really impressive performance from South Australia. And I think they would feel justifiably hard done by if they didn't make it through to the final. First with that washout against ACT, but then I'd also have to say they really only have themselves to blame for the way they performed so poorly in those couple of games against Western Australia. But no, a lot to be really pleased about with what they've done over the last sort of 3-4 weeks since they came back from Perth.
Yeah, 100%. Bit of a slow start for the girls, but they've come back strong. So it would be a shame not to see them in that final. So hopefully things go their way. How about the South Australian men?
Missed the One Day Cup final. I guess a little bit disappointing not to make their way through to the final and defend it. They played Queensland in their last game. They needed a bonus point to win. So I think if you look at the scorecard in isolation, you will think, gee, that's a disappointing loss. But they had to go all guns blazing because they were trying to get that bonus point, which means you've got to win the game by more than 80% of the other team's score, if that makes sense on how it works, or you have to get the runs inside 40 overs, and they were chasing. So that result looked worse than it was. They had a pretty solid year, but yeah, they'll just fall short of making the final. They had a huge Sheffield Shield win last week, though, Soph. This was against Queensland at the Gabba. They won by 7 wickets, a really low scoring affair. It was a horrid wicket at the Gabba. Geez, we've got some terrible pitches around Australia at the moment, and that's probably a discussion for another time. But the SCG, the MCG, and the Gabba are all, they're just not fair. They're just too hard for batting at the moment. Anyway, story for another time. So we're third. There are 3 teams all on 3 wins. Victoria are on 6 wins. Victoria are going to host the Sheffield Shield final. Our last 2 games, we play New South Wales at Karen Rolton Oval. That's a game that begins on March 5. Must win. New South Wales are in 5th. We really need the points out of that one because our last game is against Victoria in Melbourne. And that's probably the kicker there. So, yeah, if you can find at least 1 win out of those 2 games, I reckon South Australia goes through to the final and tries to defend it. They'll have to do it from in an away game. But it's been an exceptional performance from these guys. A lot of people sort of thought, South Australia will win it, but they might be a bit of a one-hit wonder. They were competitive in the One Day Cup, and they're right in amongst it in this Sheffield Shield. So they're going to be a great watch for the final 2 minor round games and hopefully a final.
Well, South Australians looking absolutely great in the cricket realm. How about you give us the SA Hooked on Sport medal tally at the moment?
So let's get the 3 women's games away first that we're yet to touch on. South Australia's second game against Victoria, Emma De Bro got 3 votes for her 82. Maddie Penner was heavily involved, bat and ball. She picked up the 2 votes. Darcy Brown bowled really well, picked up the 1 vote there. Then the 2 games against the ACT, firstly, Courtney Neal with the 3 votes, bowled beautifully. Maddie Penner also picked up wickets in that game. And Amanda Jade Wellington picked up 1 wicket, was probably the best of the bowlers of the lesser wicket takers. No one really had a bat for South Australia in that game because of rain. So Neil Penner and Amanda Jade Wellington there. In the second game against ACT, which was today, I gave 3 votes to Gemma Barsby for her 85, 2 votes for Maddie Penner, took 3 for 34, and Courtney Webb, as reliable as ever, another 60 at the top of the order for her. Let's move on to the men. They played 3 games. They played the Sheffield Shield game against New South Wales. Nathan McAndrew took 7 wickets in that match. Brendan Doggett 6. They get the 3 and 2 respectively. Jason Sanger, first votes for the year with his 59 at what was a really difficult wicket there at the SCG. That game only ruined by rain. Otherwise, South Australia were probably going to comfortably get the points there as well. They played the Sheffield Shield game subsequently against Queensland, which they won. Liam Scott took 5 wickets and made 30 in the first innings, 3 votes. Jake Lehman, 70-odd in the first innings, 2 votes. Nathan McAndrew, 5 wickets in the second innings, picked up 1 vote. And then finally in the One Day Cup match against Queensland, Lloyd Pope with 3 votes, Mackenzie Harvey more runs with 2 votes, Alex Carey picked up the 1 vote. Leaderboard looks quite a bit different. We have a new joint leader. Nathan McAndrew has moved up to 10 alongside Mackenzie Harvey. Nathan McSweeney, Liam Scott, and Jake Lehman are on 9. Now, here's where it gets interesting. And I would argue that right now, Gemma Barsby is leading this award by some margin because she's on 8 votes. But as you recall, we're going to load the women up for the fact that they'll play less games by the end of the year. So she's on 8. Brendan Doggett on 7, Maddie Penner and AJ Wellington on 6, Wes Agar injured, Jordan Buckingham, Emma De Bro, Lloyd Pope on 5. On 4 votes is Courtney Webb, Courtney Neal, Darcy Brown. On 3 votes, Henry Hunt, Ellie Johnson, Talia McGrath. 2 votes, Connor McInerney, Harry Menenti, Ben Menenti, the Italian boys, and Eleanor La Rosa. 1 vote, Harry Nielsen, Megan Shute, Jason Sanger, Alex Carey. So on votes alone, it's Nathan McAndrew and Mackenzie Harvey who lead. But on a handicap, which is where it'll be, Gemma Barsby probably pretty comfortably our leader right now. Soph?
Yeah, looking very interesting. Good week. Good few weeks for Maddie Penner. That's a massive charge up that leaderboard, though.
Really well observed, Soph. And I can tell you that she was absolutely in a funk with her batting only about 3 or 4 weeks ago. But she's just found a bit of a spark with the ball, and often that's all you need. Even if you don't feel like you're batting superbly, she got out today. She'll be a bit disappointed with just spooning one up to mid-off. But I think just the fact that she's been in the game with the ball has led her to feel a little bit more comfortable walking out to bat. I think she had ducks in four of 5 innings. So you can imagine how that much was weighing on her. But, yeah, she's been really impressive doing a bit with the bat, but getting wickets, getting people out. And that's probably an area where South Australia have struggled a bit. So she's a real asset over the last few weeks and hopefully going forward when they play New South Wales in another 2 weeks' time.
Well, Hookie, as always, absolutely love speaking to you. You don't seem to have made any outrageous predictions this podcast, so maybe we'll be a bit earlier on with the cricket show. Maybe we might get a one away earlier in March rather than, I think this might be the first one of February.
There'll be plenty of bangers between now and then, Soph, I assure you.
Okay, well, that sounds great, Hookie. As always, pleasure speaking with you. Speak to you soon.
Have a good night, mate.
That stumps on this episode of the Hooked on Sport Cricket Show. Thanks for listening. Help us reach more cricket-minded people just like you by following us and leaving a review. We look forward to your company next time on the Hooked on Sport Cricket Show.